My name is Beth Schneider. I live in Los Angeles, California. I have 3 grown sons and 2 sweet granddaughters. I am a creative person. I'm a dancer, filmmaker, and overall lover of life. And so I I first was introduced to smoking pot back in high school, back in the 70s, and it was something everybody did a bit of, and it was fun. I myself, when I turned 18, had a profound spiritual experience, and the way I understood that at that time was it implied to me, no, not to be doing any kind of drugs. So I threw that all away and never was introduced to or had any interaction with any marijuana until I was like around, I think, like definitely above 35, because I had already had my 3 kids. I had moved back out to California. And my brother, who had always maintained an interest in smoking pot, he came to visit from Colorado, and I picked him up. And I went immediately, as we always did when he'd come to visit, to a friend of his, and they would light up and smoke a joint. And they, would never offer me because they knew that I wasn't interested in that. But that particular day, because of the way I was, the direction of my spiritual pursuits and inquiry at that time was really defining right and wrong more internally than having certain rules defined from outside. So I shocked them by saying, yes, I would like to try some, which I did, and I loved it. And it was a very giggly experience, and felt very self-conscious when we went out to eat that surely the whole world knew that I was high. But from that moment, it was just so profound, like what I experienced. I just wanted it to be a part of my life. And I saw it as a gift from God, like a plant teacher. It was very supportive of a single-mindedness, and it was the beginning of a highly prolific creative period in my life. It was really beautiful. I felt like the pot was like a bit of poetry in my life, and the split in my mind that I felt in life, to be single-minded, this somehow seemed to heal. So my life became very focused and very prolific creatively. And that went on for a period of time. The thing is that I was highly obsessive about smoking pot, and I smoked all the time. The more, the better. I was very comfortable to be high, basically doing absolutely everything. And as time went on, the glory, I would say, the glory of this experience began to diminish. But the desire to keep reaching into that high to achieve the same result didn't diminish. And so basically it became like this, where the beauty of what I initially experienced, this unifying of my mind and focus and being highly creative and prolific, I became less and less so. And it became little by little demoralizing, and because I knew I needed to stop, and I felt unable to do so. So it became obvious that the quality of my life that seemed so profoundly enhanced by the use of marijuana was due to the obsessive compulsive nature of my habit, was reducing my life to very uncreative, actually, and it wasn't sustainable. And more and more felt very out of control. And the feeling of being out of control, of not being able to stop something that is very clearly not in my favor, is just so disheartening. Ultimately, I really felt like I was like down in the gutter, because I mean, as any addict can tell you, there's all kinds of antics that addicts participate in, of commitments that get broken. And I threw away so much pot and paraphernalia in my day to go hunting for it. I mean, people that haven't had this experience, it would just seem so absurd. But nonetheless, I wasn't able to figure it out. And I also, in addition to my own difficulties with managing the use of the pot, in addition, I had teenagers who were also involved with smoking pot and other drugs too. And I was living like a secretive life. I mean, which wasn't so secret to them, but I thought it was. And I needed to step up to participate in what was in their best interest. So really, I had, let's see, I went in and out of the 12-step rooms. I got a tremendous amount of support and a lot of help by going to the 12-step rooms, because the idea of God and the assistance of a higher power was natural to me anyway. That wasn't a stumbling block. And the community of support, because everyone in those rooms can relate. But I would, like many addicts, then go back out, start using again. So I was like in and out. And that also, I felt, had a reducing power, because my conditioning was used to the fact that I would go in and then leave. So I feel like my children had a lot to do with my stopping, because of not just I needed to stop for me, but to really show up for them and what they needed. So ultimately, the real turning point was I finally put myself into a intensive outpatient program, and not live-in recovery, but where I actually was paying someone to be in a program. And that drew a line in the sand for me, and I stopped at that point. But I also was very involved in a recovery program with my kids. I mean, one in particular, my youngest son, and that was very helpful to me. So it took a lot, because my brain was so conditioned in that direction. And not many years later, but years later, I had occasion that I was able to, smoke pot again. Actually, I guess it was at a concert. But the thing is, I went right back to it. And again, a surge of creativity and vision, because the pot is very visionary for me. But the thing is, I just go out of control with it, and I can't stop. So again, I was like brought down even faster and tangled up in it. And again, I got some help, like, kind of some sort of online program to kind of get me over the hump. But I'm just very clear that, better or worse, the pot is so agreeable to me that it doesn't agree with me at all.